Are you Matthew Aldridge?
I'm the attorney of fact for Matthew Aldridge.
You were what?
The attorney of fact.
Attorney what?
Of fact.
Attorney of fact. And what does that mean?
You know, his authorization to do legal representation.
Are you a licensed attorney?
No, I'm simply an attorney of fact.
Okay. And does that mean you have a power of attorney? What is your name? What is your name?
All right, folks. Today's court hearing was something else. A man named Matthew Aldridge was scheduled to appear, but the person standing at the podium claimed he wasn't Matthew at all. Instead, he insisted on being called the attorney of fact, which isn't a real legal term. This is one of those classic sovereign citizen arguments, where they claim the court has no authority over them. But here's the truth: if you're in the court's jurisdiction, the rules apply to you. No exceptions. That the judge wasn't having any of it. She stayed calm, firm, and completely shut down the nonsense. And by the end, she handled it like a pro, and left no room for argument. Let's dive in and break down what happened.
My name?
Yes, sir.
I don't have.
You don't have a name? Pardon?
I'm the attorney of fact for the respondent mayor.
Well, let me explain to you. Only an attorney at law can stand in court and represent a criminal defendant. And to do so otherwise violates the criminal law statutes of the state of Tennessee and could land someone who attempts to represent themselves as an attorney at law in serious trouble. I understand what you're saying. I understand you're saying an attorney in fact. And what I want you to understand is that if you have a power of attorney, then you need to demonstrate that power of attorney. Do you have a legal document called a power of attorney?
No, I do not at this time.
Okay. Then you don't have any authority to act on behalf of Matthew Aldridge in this court. You have no legal authority, nor do you have any authority through a legal document to represent or to act on behalf of Matthew Aldridge.
Why don't we court just let me file this document?
Show it to the bailiff and he'll show it to me. Apparently there's a copy here.
Now, here's where it really gets strange. This guy, still insisting he's the attorney of fact, tried to prove it by handing the judge a single sheet of paper. You probably didn't catch it. It was during a slower moment, but the document just quoted a fake law that supposedly gives him the right to speak for Matthew Aldridge. Just to be clear, real attorneys have to be licensed by the state and go through proper legal steps. You can't just show up with a self-written paper and claim you're someone's legal representative. That's not how the legal system works. These so-called sovereign citizens love to claim they're above the law, especially when it comes to jurisdiction. But let's be honest, just saying you don't recognize the court doesn't make the court disappear. Judges follow real, established laws, not make-believe ones. At this point, I can't tell if this movement is actually growing, or if I just keep running into the wildest cases. What do you think? Let me know in the comments.
All right. Well, I find that Matthew Neal Aldridge has failed to appear personally in this court for the plea day on his case, which is set for trial tomorrow. And as a result, you have no standing, sir, under what I know what you're trying to do is to try to use the sovereign citizen approach to this situation. And I'm simply telling you that you do not have the right to represent Matthew Neal Aldridge. If you are in fact Matthew Neal Aldridge, then you need to say so and stop this nonsense, because what you're attempting to do has no legal effect. You cannot challenge the criminal law or the jurisdiction of this court by simply filing some legal mumbo jumbo having to do with civil litigation. That has civil litigation in it. It is not a criminal case that you have cited. So it has no effect on this court regarding the criminal statutes of this court. This court is empowered under the Constitution of the United States of America and the Constitution of the state of Tennessee, and by the duly elected citizens of Cheatham County to empower and enforce the laws of the state of Tennessee. And that is what I'm going to do regarding Matthew Lynn Aldridge. Mr. Aldridge is set for today to appear in court personally on what we call our last plea day before his trial date tomorrow.
Is that an article trial?
To what?
Will that be an article trial? A trial by jury with jury?
It would be a trial by jury, certainly it would be. But I don't know who you are. And I don't think you have any authority if you are not Matthew Lynn Aldridge to appear before this court. And you are wasting valuable time to all of these other citizens who are here today. So when I'm talking, you stop talking. No, you will when I'm finished talking. You are wasting the court's time by doing this, and I'm just simply instructing you that if you are in fact Matthew Lynn Aldridge, then this is your last day to settle your case. The trial date is set for tomorrow, and unfortunately, it will not go forward because of the fact that I have a conflict and I have to be in Stewart County on a civil matter. So we're going to assign a new trial date for Matthew Lynn Aldridge. All right. To Matthew Aldridge and the individual standing before me whose name must not be uttered.
The judge in this case handled everything like a true professional. He stayed calm, focused, and shut the man down at every turn. The moment this guy started pushing the whole attorney of fact routine, the judge didn't waste any time breaking it apart, step by step. It almost felt like the judge had seen this kind of thing one too many times. Especially when the man started quoting fake laws, it was clear the judge had no patience for it. At one point, the man even said he couldn't say his own name, and the judge's reaction to that was honestly kind of amusing. Judges are usually pretty reserved, so seeing a bit of personality come through was refreshing. From the beginning, it was obvious the judge wasn't going to let this turn into a sideshow, and in the end, this just proves how these kinds of stunts never work. They waste time and get nowhere.
Then we will set a July 15th trial date for Mr. Aldridge. Whatever this document is that you have filed is in fact invalid because it does not cite any valid criminal statute, and therefore I'm denying whatever that might be in the way of a motion. The trial date will be July 15th. The last day for Mr. Aldridge to enter a plea or go to trial will be July the 8th. July the 8th. Now, we're going to give you a card. If you are in fact Matthew Aldridge and you're just playing games with the court regarding this nonsense that you filed, then you may get this card and you may go on about your business. If you are not Matthew Aldridge, then I would suggest to you, you relay to Mr. Aldridge that he must appear on July the 8th, or a bond revocation will take place, and his case will be will take place with him in jail, incarcerated on the 15th. That's the judgment of the court. You need to take your piece of paper and go on about your business.
Sovereign citizens really are something else. These are people who believe they can simply opt out of the legal system by saying they don't recognize the government's authority. They often bring up things like common law or the UCCID Uniform Commercial Code but completely misunderstand how those actually work. To be clear, our courts follow well-established federal, state and local laws that have been around for centuries and are backed by the Constitution. There's no loophole that lets someone just ignore the rules. But that doesn't stop these folks from showing up in court and wasting time with confusing and false arguments, only to end up with a criminal record. Legally, their whole argument falls apart because of one thing: jurisdiction. Courts have the right to hear cases involving anyone in their area no matter what legal theory you claim. Judges have heard it all before, and they don't put up with it. And if you think you can use this tactic to skip out on taxes or beat a speeding ticket, not only will it fail, but you could face extra penalties for wasting the court's time. Honestly, I don't understand why people keep doing this. Are they trying to beat the system, or is it just a strange form of protest? Either way, it's pointless and, honestly, a little sad. They're not fighting the system. They're just making things worse for themselves. Anyway, that's it for today's breakdown. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like and subscribe and let me know what you think about the sovereign citizen movement in the comments. Thanks for watching, and take care.